problem. Great. I'd like to call the January 3rd meeting of the Buncombe County Commission to order. And let's begin. I'd like to ask everyone to rise and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. Thank you all for being with us this evening. A Happy New Year to everyone. And I'd like to begin the meeting and to recognize that between now and our next County Commission meeting, our community, our state, and our country will celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s Day, which is recognized on Monday, January 16th. This day has been set aside by our state and our nation to recognize a man who has changed our country. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. dedicated his life to tearing down the walls of segregation and to the advancement of equal rights for all. He helped America become a better nation by confronting our country's legacy of slavery and government-enforced discrimination. Amazingly, he carried out his work not by calling for revenge or appealing to anger, but through an unwavering commitment to reconciliation, peace, and nonviolence, all of which were inspired by his deep Christian faith. Let us have a moment of silence to begin this meeting to reflect on and give thanks to all of the men and women who have fought for and sacrificed to defend and advance the principle of equality and justice for all in our country. Thank you. Our next order of business this evening is our ethics reminder. I'm going to read the ethics statement. In accordance with the Code of Ethics adopted by the Board, all county commissioners have a duty to obey all applicable laws regarding official actions, to uphold the integrity and independence of the office and avoid impropriety in the exercise of official duties, to faithfully perform the duties of the office, and to conduct the affairs of the governing board in an open and public manner. Is there any item on the agenda, the outcome of which will have a direct, substantial, and readily identifiable financial impact for any board member? Also, does any board member have a financial interest in any public contract coming before the board today? There being none, all board members have a duty and obligation to vote on all matters that come before the board this evening. All right, we will now open up the meeting for public comment. Are there, if there's any members who would like to comment, let me just review our protocols. The time limit for individual comment to the board is 3 minutes. If your time expires, you may leave any question along with your name, address, and phone number with the county manager. Board members are not expected to comment on any matters during public comment. This is your time to speak to us. The board reserves the right to deny public address on any subject previously presented to the board during the same meeting. Are there any members here tonight who would like to comment? Great. Seeing none, we will move on to our next item, which is we need to discuss and approve the agenda for the meeting, and including the consent agenda. And I would also like to ask that we add one additional item to the agenda for the evening, which would be to formally appoint Robert Presley and to reappoint Commissioner Ellen Frost to MSD. Are there any objections to adding this to the agenda tonight? Great. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda and the consent agenda and that one addition to the agenda.
So moved.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Why don't we go ahead and take care of the MSD item. At the last meeting, we reviewed all of the appointments that for positions that commission members themselves are required to represent the board. MSD is a board where we've had 2 commission members representing the board, but it's not actually a requirement that they do. So we need to formalize the discussion we had at the last meeting to have Commissioner Frost and Commissioner Presley serve going forward.
So I'd like to make a motion. Is it okay to do both at the same time? Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to appoint Robert Presley to fill my vacated seat and to reappoint Commissioner Frost to the MSD board.
Are there any comments on the motion? I have one question. So those appointments will become effective in February. Ms. Hughes, is that correct? They'll become effective in February, and those will be three-year appointments. Great. All right. If there's no other questions, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed. Thank you. All right. I believe our next item on our agenda for this evening is new business. And so we have Jessica Hawks with the Mountain Valley Resource Conservation and Development Council with us this evening to give us an update and report. So thank you for being with us.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your time tonight. A lot of what I'm going to be covering is in the program that I just gave you. So this will be a brief update on the RC&D program and the projects that we have going in Buncombe County right now. And then if you want to follow up with questions at the end or with me personally by email or phone, please feel free to do so. Just a little bit of background on the RC&D program. We became a USDA program in Western North Carolina in 1974. We cover 8 counties, including Buncombe. My office is located in Madison County, but we have a number of projects that are regional because we do try to cover those 8 counties in our area. We also work with 3 other RC&Ds that are in Western North Carolina. So we have some initiatives that we're carrying out with our partner RC&Ds in this region. Specifically in Buncombe County at this time, we have a few different projects. We have the Raising Cane project at Owen Middle School, and river cane was very common throughout this area years ago. It has cultural significance with the Cherokee. It has economic significance because they use it to make their baskets. And then ecologically, it's a stream bank stabilizer and acts as a riparian buffer and filter. So we're going to be transplanting some river cane from Warren Wilson, and it's going to stay in the same watershed and become the Natural Learning Initiative at Owen Middle School. Another project that we have in Buncombe County is at Barnardsville Elementary. The school had been having a problem with stormwater runoff at the back of the parking lot that was going in overflowing septic tanks and sometimes getting into the school building too. The septic tank overflow was our primary concern. So we've got a Pigeon River Fund grant, some funding from Buncombe County Schools, and a partnership with Buncombe Soil and Water to address that with a number of rain gardens that are going to divert the water away from that parking lot. The main project that is really helping out Buncombe County, and there's a card specifically in your packet, is the Ivy River Partners Project. The Ivy River watershed is the water supply for Weaverville. And so, not to be confused with the Big Ivy group, we're actually looking at the Ivy River watershed that's also in Madison County. I will say that the Buncombe County side of the watershed, it includes Barnardsville and that Big Ivy area, is historically a lot cleaner than the Madison County side. The Madison County side has a history of being impaired and is on the 303D list for a second time right now. So we've gone after grant funding for years. Initially, it started with a source water protection plan where we identified what we could do to help with the water quality in that watershed, because it is a surface water supply for Weaverville. And then after that was completed, immediately went after funding to address the issues in the watershed. And so this is a list of program accomplishments. We're basically wanting to become a resource. If someone is low income and needs a septic repair, or if they have a farm, they can work with Soil and Water through our partnership and 319 funding to exclude the livestock from the stream and install a new well. We've pulled over 90 tires from the Ivy and over 100 bags of trash just in this past year. We're continuing a water quality monitoring program that began in 1992. And so, like I said, we are relying entirely on grant funding to keep this water supply protected and hopefully improved in the near future. But we do get some assistance. Our board is appointed by the Soil and Waters in each county and the county commissioners. We actually currently have a vacancy in Buncombe County, but we get $800 in dues from each county, and that comes out of the Soil and Water budget. But other than that, we're exclusively relying on grant funding. So we've got regional projects as well. I was actually hired in 2009 to create a cost share program for farmers to do renewable energy, and that was renewable energy for farms. Since then, we have continued funding. We've done about 40 projects that I've been directly involved in since 2009. And originally, it just started with PV, and we still have a cost share to support photovoltaics on farms. But now we also assist small businesses, and we do energy efficiency, and we've also done some solar hot water on dairy farms. We've made 5 installations on dairy farms because they are just really high users of hot water for that pasteurization project. So we have renewable energy for farms has become the Energy Cost Share Assistance Program. And that is in the packet as well. If you know of any opportunities to partner on that, please let me know. Other regional projects are mainly that Ivy River Partners and the ECAP program. Our mission is in the packet, but I'm sure you're getting the idea. Our mission is resource conservation and economic development and protecting the resources that we have. And so if you wouldn't follow up with me on any suggestions for a board appointment or any interest in any of the projects or programs we have, at this time I could answer any questions if you have any.
So thank you. So did you say the counties give $800?
Yes, a year.
Huh. And then how do you get the rest of your funding?
We do it through grant writing. So it really has transitioned. Like I said, we became a USDA program in 1974. At that time, we had federal funding, which we lost in 2011. The USDA Service Center has been gracious enough to allow us to keep our office space, so that really helps. But before that time, a lot of our grant assistance was almost in a pass-through, so that Mountain Valley's RC&D was actually how ASAP got started. But it was just a pass-through, and someone else kind of created that project and used that nonprofit status and then got it themselves. And so since 2011, we've really tried to transition to more billable hours project management.
Right. And where are your offices now?
In Marshall.
Okay.
So it's, we cover 8 counties from Madison County all the way to Transylvania and then over to Polk, Rutherford, Cleveland, and McDowell. And the challenge is not favoring Buncombe and Madison because that's where a lot of our contacts are. And that's why we try to get those cost share programs that are eligible in any of our counties if anyone wants to participate.
Have you ever done the math on, so if you're getting $6,400 a year in public money and the rest in grants, what your programs bring to counties as far as economic development and turnaround?
No, but those would probably be useful numbers. Though the most of the math that I know is just how much we need a year to operate and to stay afloat. But right now we have 2 other staff members, and they are more in the with the environmental or renewable energy technical expertise than I am. I'm the director, so I'm kind of overseeing all the projects. So that's been really helpful.
That's very impressive.
Thanks for your time.
Hey, I do have a couple of other questions, Jessica.
Sure.
So there's a board position that's open currently. So what kind of person, what are the kind of qualifications or characteristics you typically are looking for in people who serve on your board?
Well, we have, because 2 of the positions in Buncombe County have been appointed by Soil and Water, we have a lot of close ties with agriculture. In terms of resource conservation, and I mean, anyone who could identify a conservation need that's not being met, because we aren't looking to compete with other nonprofits. But if there is an opportunity, like for instance, it was our board member who came to us and said, Owen Middle School is doing this natural learning initiative. I'd really like you to go and talk with them, see the campus. And when I went there, they said, well, we want to do this Raising Cane project. And so we said, all right, well, let's see. We'll follow up with Warren Wilson and see if we can make that happen. So someone who knows people and might be able to identify projects that are specifically tied to resource conservation would be perfect.
And that appointment needs to be made by this board.
Right.
Okay. So have we advertised for that? So we should start doing that. Okay. Well, great. I just one other comment. And this is not something I know very much about, but it's just something that somebody who also is very interested in the whole river cane conservation or restoration kind of reached out to me about. But my understanding is one of the other larger tracts of remaining river cane, which is this incredibly diminished kind of habitat type in this part of the world, is in an area where the county has a lot of other interests, which is out on the Hominy River, right below our new school out there. And and there's some greenway projects and other recreational projects being planned out there. So just out of curiosity, is the project that you're working on kind of very focused on that one river, or is it kind of part of a larger interest in kind of the river cane conservation and educational opportunities and things like that people are interested in around that?
Funded by the Cherokee Foundation, and I think that they feel like the Swannanoa, and that site has some cultural significance historically. And so, someone said, well, we have some river cane at Alexander Ford in Polk County, and they kind of felt like, well, that's maybe getting a little bit too far out of our scope, and so it really would be kind of site-specific, and we could take it to them and see what they thought. And then another thing we could do is just educate landowners and do it on our own, and involve the Cherokee Foundation in that way, because really it's not that, transplanting the culms isn't that expensive.
Okay. Well, I think it's great, and again, I don't know that much about it, but I think
no,
we'd
I
love to,
think-
make sure we're coordinating with you. A lot of these different, greenway projects in the county are in these riverside areas where River Cane is or used to be, and I think there's opportunities to make sure we're conserving it and we need to make sure we're being careful not to, inadvertently lose any more where we can avoid that.
Exactly.
So thanks for what you're doing on that, and let's stay in touch. But are there any other questions for Jessica while we have her with us this evening? Great. Well, thanks for being with us and for sharing the report and for all the great work that
Thank you.
you're up to. All right. So the next item on our agenda is the board appointments to the Nursing Home Community Advisory Committee. And we have 4 vacancies for the board currently.
I don't have a crystal ball, but I think Nancy might be a shoo-in.
Nancy Lipscomb.
Okay, is that
Is that a first and a
like
second?
make that a motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nancy
A
Lipscomb.
motion by Commissioner Frost, seconded by Commissioner Belcher. Any other comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Terrific. All right. We have just a couple of announcements that we want to make. That concludes all of the business we had on our agenda for this evening. So we have just a couple of announcements to go over. January 16th is Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. County offices will be closed on that day. January 17th at 5 p.m. will be the next regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners here at 200 College Street. January 25th to 27th, the County Commissioners will be attending the Essentials of Government conference at the Quality Inn in Biltmore here in Asheville. And again, we do not have a closed session this evening. So that concludes our business for the evening. Thanks to everyone. Have a great new year.
Adjourn?
Would you like to make a motion to adjourn?
I would.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned.